Now we go to the short vowel forms. The 2 dots in a row underneath, you can lift that to a superscript E as transliteration for it. Sometimes you'll see an inverted E used as a transliteration for it. And in some places you'll see an E with a brev over it. There's, as we mentioned before, there's not a standard form of transliteration for Hebrew because of the nation Israel's refusal to establish a standard. And so we all just go along and each one doing their own thing, or we try to have something that is pretty well popular. Our Hebrew department sat down and determined how we would do these and what we would accept as common standard of transliteration. So we're all in agreement on these. But it's like the E, the first E in beret. Beret. You almost don't even hear it. It's almost like bray. In fact, in modern Hebrew, that shewa at the beginning of a word, like in the name Solomon, it's supposed to be vocalized in biblical Hebrew, shlomo. But in modern Hebrew, it's just shlomo. They don't give that vocal sound at all. All right? Same with the Hebrew word for covenant, brit. Brit in modern Hebrew is just Brit. Sounds like you're talking about an Englishman, a Brit, okay? Except they even go further. The tau is no longer pronounced as a T, it's an S. So they say bris in modern Hebrew. Modern Hebrew is not classical Hebrew. Please keep that in mind as we go along. That's the reason we emphasize using the classical pronunciations rather than the modern. Then we have what is called the hatif pathic. And by the way, that little dot at the end there, that's called a shewa. Shewa. The shewa, the 2 dots there underneath, that's shewa. Shewa. And then we have a hatif pathic. Hatif pathic. It's a pathic with the shewa. This is what we call a compound shewa. And these are always vocal. They're always vocal shewas. They have a sound. And this is just like the A in kaboom. You can't tell the difference between that and beret. Beret, kaboom. You can't tell the difference in the sound. But it's an A-class vowel because of the pathic. And the reason that's significant and important in Hebrew is that can determine for you exactly what the meaning of that word is, to recognize that it's a pathic instead of something else. A hatif pathic. If you combine it with a sigol, it's a hatif sigol. Hatif sigol. Usually represented by a little I, sometimes by a little E in the superscript. Like the I in dividend. Dividend. The second I. You have the comets. You have the hatif comets. Hatif comets can be represented by a superscript O, as in confirm. Hatif pathic, hatif sigol, hatif comets are the names of these half vowels. They are half vowels, not full vowels. Half vowels. That's significant because half vowels can never form a syllable by themselves. Now, that doesn't make any sense to us in English. Because if we say kaboom, it doesn't matter that the A is a half vowel. In English, we say ka is one syllable, boom is another one. But in Hebrew, that's not the way it works. The syllabification, the dividing of syllables in Hebrew is totally different. You say, well, why is it important? Why is it significant? If you have 2 sounds, why can't you have 2 syllables? Because the rules of vowel pointing and the way words are formed have to do with the Hebrew definition of syllable, not the English definition of syllable. So if you try to apply English definitions for syllable to the Hebrew, you're going to get confused. Because then the rules just don't seem to apply. There seem to be hundreds of exceptions. So you have to get into the mind frame of understanding that half vowels never form syllables on their own. Half vowels never form syllables on their own. Question?
Could you re-go over the pronunciation of these 3 again?
They all sound the same. As the shewa. Beret, shewa, kaboom. the hatif pathic, dividend, hatif sigol, confirm, ka. Same sound, whether you say ba, whether you say ka, v, or ka, it's all the same. There's no distinguishing the sound. All right? The reason they're distinguished in transliteration and in classification has to do with the Hebrew specifying what class of vowel it is by means of the pathic, the sigol, and the comments, which is only significant not for pronunciation, but significant for understanding where the word came from, what its original form was, and how it then is changed in various stages. Okay, but there's no distinguishing of sound. All right? Good question.